Welcome, Collective. This is Regina from Pacific Tarot, doing a new moon in Capricorn reading for all signs or anyone who is drawn to this message right now. This is an energy that is asking us to get real with who we are and our experience living in a physical body, in a physical world. So unlike some who believe that this sacred space is for one's personal and private evolution, I do believe it behooves me to make links to the real world and what's happening in the real world, how we can and do respond sometimes in unconscious ways that is either helping us, helping the world, or the contrary. So the first card I pulled is the Five of Cups. This is the card on the top of the deck, and underneath that is the High Priestess. So this really does go to the period of rest and recuperation that we are slowly moving out of and have been since the end of last year, where we're looking critically not only at the past and our experiences in the past, but how that bears upon our relationship to self. How have we abandoned our relationship to self or never developed that in the past? And as a result of that, how that lack of attention, lack of priority of what we need and what we desire has led to repeated failures, disappointments, pain. And instead, we're aware now that the relationship with oneself is primary and defines our experiences in ways that we can take full responsibility for. This is also a time where we are, as a result of this idea of knowing oneself, we are opening up to other spheres of influence and power in our lives. As we get to know ourselves more fully, we recognize our larger impact on the world that has little to do with this individual moment. This can be our impact in the past when we were not always aware, but we were guided by those, particularly ancestors, angels, spirit guides, however you define those helpful spiritual energies that surround you, that protect you, that nag at you regarding this deep wisdom that you have within you. And as you have built that relationship to self, you are now in a position of taking greater ownership of the wisdom that you have and the way that you're able to apply that, how others are magnetized to you for what you know. I also pulled a couple of oracle cards, and the first one from the Soul's Journey is patience. I accept that everything happens in divine order. For many of you, this journey of healing, of actualization, of empowerment, however you're defining it or experiencing it, has taken time, has taken a lot of time. There is, in some cases, for some of you that I'm reading for, many lifetimes that have contributed to the skills, the contribution that you're making in this lifetime. And in order to become fully aware of that power and influence, it has taken a rather protracted cycle of increased awareness, elevated consciousness, becoming clearer and clearer about your role here on earth and the impact you've, again, already had on people, even when you weren't aware of what your particular gift, talent, power was. So patience, as we all know, is absolutely necessary. Many of the forces you're working with are not ones that you command, but that you are learning to cooperate and co-create with. And for the crystal oracle, I pulled the golden calcite. And that keyword is inspiration. I'm inspired in all that I do. And I think this is really directly related to this sense of increased and enhanced consciousness, awareness, this clarity around who you actually are as you have bonded with your own needs and desires and understood that in order to actualize oneself, one must create sacred space. That sacred space is, among other things, a place where you can process what's occurring in the world, respond in a way that is actually heartfelt and in alignment with your values, your standards, and that is ultimately where you're finding your inspiration in the current moment. These are beautiful energies. I'll put them out of the way here a little bit because I've also laid out cards for the present, the past, and the future as I see them. And the High Priestess just feels like it belongs on the top here. In the present, we have the Three of Staffs. And part of what I'm getting here is that you are now, as you are continuing on what is, many of you are experiencing a lifetime process of healing, of balancing, of empowerment. You are in a position to better arrange your forward movement with an idea to collaboration, with opening yourself up to new ideas, of the instinct to explore and discover not only ways that you can contribute to new communities or a broader community or new audiences, but ways that you can learn from those audiences, from those collaborators, mentors, networkers that you are connecting with. So there's something here about the interplay between being noticed and noticing others. You have the attention of others. You're excited about what you're learning about, the direction you're moving in. Even if you are not starting something brand new, you are renewing something that is heartfelt, that inspires you and that inspires others. So this is a time where I do feel, despite the general energy of Capricorn being very grounding, very calming, very steady, and often considered very slow, you actually are moving forward with a lot of excitement, with a lot of energy, re-energized, reconnecting, getting new ideas, other people contributing to a pool of ideas or offering themselves as partners in an enterprise that is dear to your heart and you feel expresses you in a very whole way. And it's interesting to me that that includes relationship, that you need others and others need you. In the past, the Lady of Swords is the Queen of Swords in the traditional deck. And this is showing me, I think, your exploration, your opening up to ideas, the incredible work that you've done challenging your own expectations of what should be in your life, what couldn't be in your life. You are aware that so much of your experience or what you believed was for you was predetermined or preconditioned by the expectations of others, by the social realm you live within. And that actually you have not only more a greater ability to welcome in new ideas, to pursue new ideas, but a phenomenal imagination that is powered by great intuition. And these are things that support your logical and rational approach. Two approaches that are very intimately intertwined with a Capricorn sense of groundedness, right? what is real, what can you do, what is a realistic and sometimes even a modest expectation when you're in brand new terrain. Many of you are aware that you are not only see your world differently, but others see you differently. And that can be foreboding, that you are aware you may be appearing as harsh or indifferent or dismissive of others, but nothing could be further from the truth. You are simply allowing yourself the space to exercise your talents, to evolve your ideas, to co-create with those who are in alignment with you. In the future, we have two cards came out. First, the Servant or the Page of Cups and the Two of Cups. And I think this is interesting because the idea of opening up your heart is so much of what is underneath this healing process that has been evolved. For many of you, this long, arduous healing path, and before it was a healing path, it was simply a challenging path, a place where you never felt like you could get a break. It always required you to put your own desires and wishes aside in order to accomplish something for many of you so that you could simply live, so that you could simply survive. And it always seemed to require you to put your feelings aside, to dismiss those, at least temporarily, to put your dreams on hold. Instead, what I do believe is emerging from this awareness that the new version of yourself that you are exercising, that you are identifying with, and that you are allowing others to identify you with, is really opening up your heart in such a way that relationships, for many of you, something that had been kind of X'd off your list of desirables or as likely even. Not that you wouldn't like to be in a powerful friendship, a deep connection, but it just doesn't seem likely or possible within the world that you had created for yourself, full of responsibilities and necessities. Instead, what you're finding as you open up to your own thoughts and imagination, your own creative abilities in working with others, you're finding yourself constantly engaged in creative solutions, problem solving, thinking outside of the box in a way that matches your energy with others who are similarly aligned with similar values and goals. So the idea that working at something you love allows you to work more wholeheartedly, to recognize work, the ability to work at something that engages your talents, your gifts, is a privilege, is a gift. And so I wouldn't be surprised for many of you, or if you're experiencing relationships that are coming back around, some for review, some after a long period of time, something looking for perhaps another chance, or even just an acknowledgement of friendship, of a gift, a positive or powerful exchange that you might not have even been aware that you had in the context of what seemed like just another failed affair. So I think that there's a lot more here about the relationships you are exploring and showing up for, even in readjusting, realigning your relationships with loved ones who you recognize aren't necessarily as supportive of you as you always imagined that they were, and imagination is the key there. You are not necessarily cutting them off, but you're understanding that there was some purpose to that, even though I would venture to say for many of you, when it came to family, lack of support from family or loved ones, this was extremely painful. And for many of you, it comes from a place of others assuming that you've got it covered, others assuming you don't need help or you don't want help. which is incredibly cruel and uh, uh, inconsiderate. However, I can understand, particularly in some family systems where there is a parent number two in an older sibling, or in a younger sibling, there is the eternal baby or child, that we often unconsciously assume roles and the responsibilities that are expected of those roles without even being aware of how they're impacting our ability to love or our desire to enter in relationships that are different. I do see some incredible opening up of relationships that have always been there for you, and also new ones that require your imagination, require you to connect from the heart, to evaluate what is a sincere connection for you. And that sincere connection is a place where you feel that you can grow together. I'm going to clarify the past card first. The Lady of Swords in the past is clarified by the Three of Wands and the Four of Wands. Interesting, because we have the Three of Staffs, or the Three of Staffs, here in the Mayan or Tarot. And here we have a little bit of a sequence that is identifying that you have been working on creating this expression of your authentic interests, desires, and talents for a while. You've been thinking about how best to channel that energy, and it is through the creating some kind of a social or cultural foundation for yourself among collaborators, among neighbors, among friends, or a community that has helped you define what this project is. Perhaps this is a new business. Perhaps this is a side business. Perhaps this is something that is helping you to combine a number of your talents into one project. Whatever it is, you are coming from a place of uh, deep collaboration in your past. And part of what I'm getting the feeling of here is that this is not the norm for all of you. For many of you that are showing up in community, that have a big community responsibility or a large role in an organization or on a team, often think of yourself as loners, as people who are uncomfortable in social settings for a long period of time, or are frankly just introverts. And this is one way in which you learn to manage powerful introvert energy, because that energy is there for a reason. Your need to reset in your own space allows you that opportunity to exercise your talents, to enjoy the things that you love without witness, without feedback or critique. And this is important for you to evolve your expression in a way that feels safe, in a way that feels protected. But you've learned to extend that need into your community so that you collectively work with others to protect, provide comfort, excuse me, and safety to others who have a similar goal of creating something that is functionally an improvement, that seeks solutions, that is problem solving, and does it in a way that supports individuals to understand that the process of learning and growing is something that is continually celebrated. It is never taken for granted. This is a place where we exercise reaching, inspiring, improving upon our lives, improving upon the lives of others in a community with those. This is really beautiful energy here, and this is very complex in a time in the world when I believe we are tasked to be as much in community as we are within our own sacred space, particularly those of you that are sensitives, that are aware, that are conscious. You understand that you have an obligation to the world, to the community, to your family, and that your spiritual evolution only enhances that. It does not detract from that. In the present, the Three of Wands, the Three of Staffs, and the Mayan deck is clarified by the Seven of Wands and the Queen of Pentacles. So, yeah, I do feel like part of this is more of the same kind of information. You have learned to organize your own personal sacred space. I call it sacred because as an introvert, this is a place where we reset in order to do the work we do in the world. And many of you are actually quite active in the world. That is part of the irony of uh, um, our social styles that are not apparent to others. You are likely to be quite outspoken, to have a lot to say about the conditions you find yourself in and the way that you would like to improve upon those conditions, not only for others, but for yourself, absolutely. Because I do feel that you are resonating with an idea of patience, groundedness, working in sync with the natural energy of others, looking at the seasonal passage of time. Everything has its time and place, and you're really comfortable in the natural world. You do understand that you are an expression of some of the power of the natural world. And I think it's interesting that uh, the Queen of Pentacles being the daughter of the Empress of the higher arcana is sometimes referred to as art. Nature equals art. And I don't think that's a huge conceptual leap when we think of the incredible diversity in the world. Everything is unique and yet everything works together. So I do believe that you are comfortable in that realm. You use the resources available to you in order to create what it is that you see as important, and that includes connection with others. Not necessarily deep connection, ideas, bouncing ideas off one another, exchanging information, doing research, looking at other models, businesses, organizations, projects that you would like to emulate. What can you learn from them and how can you adjust them to your purposes? So in the future, the Servant of Cups or the Page of Cups and the Two of Cups is clarified by, that card doesn't want to come out, the Ten of Wands and the Eight of Wands. Interesting, all these wands in the clarifiers. I think this is a time of absolute movement, action, versatility, openness to new ideas, being able to connect, spark with others, make a connection, move through information. A lot is moving and you're having opportunities to connect with others. There is, through this way that you are more uh, you are sifting through the many connections you make, the relationships you have, with an eye to this quality that matches yours, to standards that you aspire to the awareness that you want to be around people that are doing what you want to do or that are doing what you do, that you really are not, you don't feel that you have the luxury of just hanging out with any and all. And this, for some of you, is a big shift. I do sense many of you have been always available to someone who asked for help, to whatever way you could. And this is a hard habit to break. And I describe it that way because there is a way that helping others avoids helping self. And I think some of you may have fallen into that trap in the past. And so in many ways, a big change that you have been making, that you are working on, is eliminating the habits of being responsible to others exclusively. Always prioritizing their needs, always understanding the responsibilities that are inherent in being a leader or a provider, and always a sense that you had to carry this load on your own, not because you wanted to, but because you felt that others assumed that you would and you could. And so that now is no longer a good enough reason to carry the responsibility for others. This is something you're actively changing as you open up your heart and realize how much treasure is within you, how much you have to share, how much love you have to give. And if you're giving to everyone else based on their needs, there is nothing left. And for many of you, that's where you're coming from, a place of depletion, exhaustion, being ignored by others when it comes to your needs or desires, being dismissed once you've been all used up, others going on their merry way, happy and fulfilled, and you being left behind, worse for wear. I do think that you're releasing that, and that is releasing an incredible amount of energy for you to pursue your interest and your those connections that are helpful to you, to get the information you need and to be seen, to be invited into new places, and to accept. This is really powerful for syncing up with others who are doing things that you want to contribute to, but you don't want to create the vehicle yourself. You want to join in with others in order to get significant things accomplished. You don't always want to be the one that's leading that charge. And that feels like where you've been in the past. And now you have shifted your awareness in a way that makes it possible. And this is, again, creating this beautiful relationship with yourself where you honor, respect yourself first. This comes from not just self-love, but really respecting what it is you want to do, knowing that that is just as important as any other task that anyone else wants to accomplish, and having, for many of you, to say no over and over again in new ways, for you to have to rehearse that with others, your considerations that may be inclining you to end things when it's appropriate to end them, to not feel that you always have to carry a load that may not be yours. The energy in this message was unmistakable, and I'm going to finish it up with an Egyptian sacred animal. And, well, the donkey flew out first. So I'm going to take the donkey. Number 30, which reduces down to a number 3, which is the number of the Empress. This is the number of empowerment in the natural world, being comfortable with where you are and who you are and what you have created. The donkey keywords are humility and patience. There we are again. In ancient Egypt, the donkey is an animal of great practical and symbolic importance. It is sacred to Set, the god of chaos and storms, and it embodies the duality of life, representing both the uncontrollable forces of nature and strength, endurance, and the ability to work hard. The donkey encourages you to persevere and face challenges with determination. Known for its humility, patience, and simplicity, its presence invites you to be humble in your actions and patient with others in difficult situations. It suggests you simplify your life and focus on the essentials. If you're going through a period of significant change, the energy of the donkey protects you and guides you to overcome it with simplicity. helping you to balance the positive and negative aspects of the situation. So beautiful, such a beautiful message in this new moon energy that is starting us off the new year in such a powerful way, really grounded in who we are. If you've enjoyed this message, please like this video, share it with others if you're inclined to do so. Certainly subscribe to my channel. I appreciate all the support that I get from you. Thank you for your loving comments. Until next time, namaste.